The message came on a quiet Tuesday morning. In the bustling control room of Earth's Global Communications Center, Tom Parker stared at his screen with wide eyes. After 15 years of monitoring deep space signals, he had finally found something real. His hand shook as he pressed the emergency alert button. Within hours, screens worldwide lit up with the news. We are not alone. The aliens called themselves the Dominion. Their first message was simple and clear. We come in peace, bearing gifts of knowledge and technology. The transmission included complex mathematical equations and scientific theories that made Earth's brightest minds gasp in wonder. Commander James Miller watched the celebrations from his office in the Global Defense Force headquarters. While others saw hope in the stars, he saw danger. 20 years in military intelligence had taught him that nothing valuable came without a price. "Sir, you need to see this," said his assistant, walking into his office with a tablet. "They're showing images of their ships now. They'll be here in 3 days." Miller leaned back in his chair, his weathered face reflecting in the window. Below, people danced in the streets, waving makeshift banners welcoming their new alien friends. 3 days, he muttered. Not even enough time to convince anyone to be careful. He tried, of course. In meeting after meeting with world leaders, Miller presented his concerns. "Why now?" he asked them. "Why show themselves when we're just beginning to reach for the stars? What do they really want?" But hope was a powerful drug, and humanity was addicted to the promise of advancement. The world's governments agreed to welcome the Dominion with open arms. The ships appeared exactly when promised. 7 massive vessels, each larger than the largest city on Earth, took position around the globe. They were beautiful in a terrifying way. Smooth black surfaces that seemed to swallow light itself, with pulsing blue lines running along their hulls like glowing veins. The first landing was scheduled for Central Park in New York. Miller stood among the crowd of dignitaries, his dress uniform feeling too tight around his neck. The air hummed with excitement and the clicking of countless cameras. A section of the ship above them opened, revealing a soft blue light. As the alien delegation descended in a floating platform, humans got their first look at the Dominion. They were tall, elegant creatures with silvery skin that rippled like water. Their ambassador raised 4-fingered hands in greeting, and the crowd cheered. Miller noticed something odd. The aliens' eyes. They never blinked. Not once. The Dominion ambassador spoke perfect English through what they called a universal translator. "We bring you friendship," it said. "We will lift humanity to the stars." That night, as the world celebrated, Miller couldn't sleep. He stood at his bedroom window, watching the alien ship hovering over the city. His phone buzzed. A message from Dr. Emma Reed at the Defense Force Science Division. Something's wrong with their gift. The Dominion had presented Earth with a small device they claimed would help clean the planet's atmosphere. Dr. Reed's message contained data showing unusual energy readings from the device. But before Miller could investigate further, the world went dark. Every electronic device on Earth shut down simultaneously. In the sudden silence, the Dominion ships opened like blooming flowers of death. They struck without warning or mercy. Massive energy beams cut through cities like hot knives through butter. Smaller ships poured from the larger ones, running down fleeing crowds with capture beams that turned people into screaming statues of light before taking them up into the ships. Miller ran through the chaos in New York, gathering any soldiers or police he could find. "Get people underground." He shouted over the noise of destruction. "Use the subway tunnels. Move." As he helped a group of survivors into a subway entrance, he looked up at the burning sky. The beautiful silver skin of the Dominion forces had changed, revealing their true form. Black, chitinous armor covered in sharp spines. Their elegant movement had become predatory, hungry. Humanity's hope had shattered in less than an hour. But as Miller led his group deeper underground, he saw something in the eyes of the survivors. It wasn't fear anymore. It was rage. The fall of Earth took just 1 day. But it would also be remembered as the day humanity learned its most important lesson. Trust must be earned, not given. And now, deep underground, the real fight was about to begin. 3 weeks after the invasion, Commander Miller led his group through dark subway tunnels beneath New York City. Their footsteps echoed off wet walls as they moved deeper into the underground network they now called home. "Report," Miller whispered to his scout, who had just returned from the surface. "It's bad, sir," the scout replied, his face dirty and tired. "They're using humans like cattle. The Dominion ships have turned into processing centers. They're taking people in, but nothing human comes out." Miller's group had grown from the initial survivors to nearly 300 people. They had found others hiding in the tunnels, and now their underground base stretched through miles of abandoned subway lines. But with each passing day, the sounds of screaming from above grew louder. Dr. Emma Reed worked in what used to be a maintenance room, now converted into a makeshift lab. She had managed to save some equipment during the initial attack, and what she discovered made her stomach turn. "Commander," she called as Miller passed by, "I know what they're doing to our people." She held up a tablet showing scans of Dominion technology. "They're not just killing us. They're trying to absorb us, our minds, our memories. They're attempting to integrate human consciousness into their biotechnology." Miller leaned against the wall, his face illuminated by the dim emergency lights. "Can they do it?" A small smile crossed Emma's face. "That's the interesting part. They're failing. Something about human minds is resistant to their integration process. It's actually damaging their systems." Before Miller could respond, the tunnel shook. Dust fell from the ceiling as heavy footsteps echoed from above. Everyone froze. "They're hunting again," whispered Tom Parker, who had joined their group after the fall of the communication center. "But something's different about their pattern this time." The group watched through cracks in the ceiling as Dominion soldiers marched past. Their true form was now clear to everyone. Massive, insectoid creatures with black armor and glowing blue veins. But today, some of them moved erratically, twitching and sparking. One of the creatures stopped directly above them. Its head turned sharply, and a horrible screech filled the air. "The humans here are different," it clicked in its mechanical voice. "Their minds burn. They resist." Miller signaled his people to ready their weapons, a mix of conventional guns and salvaged Dominion technology. But before the fight could begin, something unexpected happened. The Dominion soldier began to convulse. Blue sparks shot from its armor as it stumbled around. Error. Human emotional patterns. Incompatible. System failure. It collapsed, its armor cracking to reveal pulsing organic matter beneath. Dr. Reed rushed forward with her scanning equipment, ignoring Miller's attempt to stop her. "This is incredible," she whispered. "The neural patterns of captured humans are causing their biotech to malfunction. And look at these readings. The stronger the human emotions, the worse the damage to their systems." Miller watched as more Dominion soldiers above began to show signs of distress. "They thought we would be easy to process," he said. "They didn't expect us to fight back, even in captivity." A young survivor named Jack, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. "My sister was taken 2 days ago. She was angry, screaming the whole time they dragged her away. The soldier holding her started smoking, like its armor was burning." Dr. Reed's eyes lit up with understanding. "That's it. They chose Earth because they thought we were weak, driven by fear. They didn't understand human anger, human determination. Our emotions are like poison to their systems." Miller gathered his leaders together. In the dim light of their underground shelter, a plan began to form. "If they can't process angry humans," he said, "then we'll give them something to really fear. Humanity isn't just going to hide and survive. We're going to fight back." As if in response to his words, the Dominion forces above began to retreat, their organized hunting pattern falling into chaos. For the first time since the invasion, hope began to flicker in the darkness. But this wasn't the weak hope of peaceful dreams. This was the fierce hope of a people who had discovered their enemy's weakness. The betrayal of the Dominion had awakened something in humanity, and deep underground, the Resistance prepared to turn their strongest emotions into weapons of war. Dr. Emma Reed hadn't slept in 2 days. The underground lab hummed with salvaged equipment as she studied the remains of the fallen Dominion soldier. Around her, other survivors watched with growing excitement. "Show me those readings again," she said to Tom Parker, who had repurposed his communication skills to help with the research. The screen flickered with waves of neural patterns, human minds clashing with alien technology. "Look here," Tom pointed at a spike in the data. "Every time a captured human feels intense emotion, the Dominion systems go haywire. But anger and determination cause the most damage." A loud crash made everyone jump. In the corner of the lab, Jack was testing their theory. He had connected a piece of Dominion armor to their monitoring equipment and was deliberately focusing his thoughts on the day they took his sister. The armor piece was smoking. "That's the 3rd piece this morning," Jack said, wiping sweat from his forehead. "The angrier I get, the faster it breaks down." Commander Miller entered the lab, followed by several Resistance fighters carrying more salvaged alien technology. "We found these in the upper tunnels," he said. "Some of their soldiers are still malfunctioning. They're leaving equipment behind." Dr. Reed moved quickly to a large workbench covered in modified human and alien technology. "Commander, we're ready for the big test." She held up what looked like a modified helmet. "We're calling it the Rage Engine. It amplifies human emotional output and directs it as a weapon." Miller eyed the device cautiously. "Will it hurt our people?" "No," Emma smiled. "In fact, it protects the user's mind while channeling their emotions. Jack, would you like to do the honors?" Jack stepped forward, his young face determined. They had chosen him as the first test subject because of his powerful emotional response to the alien technology. As Dr. Reed fitted the helmet on his head, everyone in the lab held their breath. "Think about your sister," Emma instructed. "Think about what they did to her, to all of us." Jack closed his eyes. The helmet began to glow with a soft blue light, the same color as Dominion technology. But as Jack's anger grew, the light turned deep red. Suddenly, every piece of alien technology in the lab began to vibrate. "Containment fields up," Emma shouted. The protective barriers they had built activated just as waves of energy pulsed from the helmet. The salvaged Dominion armor pieces didn't just smoke this time. They shattered. "My God," Miller whispered. "You've done it." Jack removed the helmet, shaking but smiling. "When can we make more?" The next few days were a blur of activity. Dr. Reed and her team worked around the clock, creating more rage engines while Miller trained fighters to use them. They discovered that each person's emotional signature was different, but all were deadly to Dominion technology. Then came the day of their first counterattack. Miller led a small team to the surface, each wearing a rage engine. They'd moved through the ruins of New York, approaching a Dominion processing center where humans were being held. "Remember," Miller whispered to his team, "focus on why you're fighting. Let them feel humanity's fury." The aliens never saw it coming. As the team activated their rage engines, the processing center's walls began to crack. Dominion soldiers rushed out, only to collapse as waves of human emotion overwhelmed their systems. Inside, they found hundreds of captured humans in holding cells. Among them was Jack's sister, weak but alive. The Dominion hadn't been able to process her. Her anger had protected her mind. As the rescued prisoners were led back to the underground base, Dr. Reed made another discovery. She rushed to find Miller, her eyes wide with excitement. "The Dominion's entire empire is built on controlling and processing other species," she explained. "But they've never encountered anything like human emotions before. We're not just resistant. We're toxic to their entire system." Miller watched as more survivors joined their ranks, each with a story of resistance, each ready to fight. "Then it's time to take this beyond New York," he said. "Contact the other resistance cells. Show them how to build the rage engines." For the first time since the invasion, the underground base buzzed with more than just hope. It buzzed with purpose. The spark of resistance had been lit, and humanity was about to show the Dominion why they should have never underestimated the power of human emotion. The war for Earth was about to change, and the enemy would learn that their greatest mistake wasn't attacking humanity, it was making humanity angry. 1 month after the first successful counterattack, the underground resistance had changed completely. The subway tunnels now hummed with activity as people moved between makeshift workshops, each producing more rage engines. Commander Miller stood in what they called the War Room, a former subway station office now covered in maps and communication equipment. Red dots marked confirmed resistance cells across the globe. Each day, more dots appeared. London is online. Tom Parker announced from his communication station. They've successfully built their first batch of rage engines using our designs. Paris and Moscow too. Miller nodded, watching as new green marks appeared on the map. Each one represented a human victory, a processing center destroyed, or a Dominion ship damage. The aliens were finally learning to fear. Commander, Jack burst into the room, his face flushed with excitement. Dr. Reed has something new. You need to see this. In the main workshop, Dr. Reed stood next to what looked like a modified suit of Dominion armor. But this one was different. Streaks of red ran through its black surface instead of the alien blue. We're calling it the Fury suit, she said, pride evident in her voice. We've completely reversed their biotechnology. Instead of suppressing human emotions, it amplifies them. Watch. A resistance fighter named Mark stepped forward. Once a construction worker, he had lost his entire family in the initial invasion. The team helped him into the suit, and as it sealed around him, the red lines began to pulse. How do you feel? Dr. Reed asked. Mark's voice came through the suit's speakers, strong and clear. I feel powerful, like my anger could move mountains. Suddenly, all the Dominion technology in the room began to react. But instead of breaking down, it seemed to bend toward Mark, as if drawn to him. We can control their tech now, Emma explained. The suits don't just destroy, they can command. Miller watched as Mark easily interfaced with a piece of Dominion equipment, making it respond to his thoughts. How many suits can we make? With the materials we have. 20, maybe 30. But here's the real breakthrough. Emma pointed to a screen showing neural patterns. Each person who uses the suit gets stronger. Our emotions are actually evolving, becoming more potent against their technology. The meeting was interrupted by alarm bells. Tom's voice came over the speaker system. Dominion forces approaching. They're using the new attack pattern. Miller rushed to the surface observation post with Dr. Reed. Through their scopes, they could see the enemy approaching. The Dominion had adapted, covering their soldiers in shielding that glowed with intense blue light. They're trying to protect themselves from the rage engines, Emma observed. But they don't understand. Making themselves stronger against our emotions only gives us more power to turn against them. Miller made a quick decision. Send out the Fury Squad. 20 fighters in the new suits emerged from hidden tunnel entrances. As the Dominion forces approached, expecting to find weak humans hiding in fear, they instead met a wall of concentrated human rage. The battle was unlike anything they had seen before. The Fury suits glowed bright red, channels of emotional energy visible in the air around them. When the Dominion's enhanced shields met this power, they didn't just fail. They turned against their users. Their own technology is betraying them, Emma whispered, watching through binoculars. Every defense they create, we can turn into a weapon. The victory was total. As the last Dominion soldier fell, the resistance fighters stood tall in their gleaming suits, humanity's new strength on full display. Back in the war room, reports began flooding in from around the world. Other resistance cells were reporting similar successes. Humanity wasn't just fighting back. They were winning. They thought they could break us, Miller said to his gathered forces. Instead, they gave us the tools for their own destruction. Every human they capture makes us stronger. Every emotion they try to suppress becomes a weapon. Dr. Reed added the day's victories to their map. The Dominion made one fundamental mistake, she said. They assumed that because we welcomed them in peace, we would fall in war. They never understood that humanity's capacity for rage is matched only by our ability to use it. As night fell over the ruined city, the underground base celebrated. But this was just the beginning. Tomorrow, they would take the fight to the Dominion ships above. The aliens had wanted to harvest humanity's essence. Now they would learn exactly what that meant. The rising had begun, and there would be no stopping it now. The dawn broke over New York City with an unfamiliar sound: silence. After months of constant alien patrols and processing centers, humming with captured humans, the streets were quiet. Above, one of the massive Dominion ships hung motionless, its blue lights flickering erratically. Commander Miller stood at the head of 500 fighters, each wearing the improved Fury suits that Dr. Reed had enhanced. The red lines on their armor pulsed in sync, like a single heartbeat of rage. "This is what we've trained for," Miller's voice carried across the assembled forces. "Today, we take back our first city." Dr. Reed's voice crackled over their comm system. "Remember, the new suits are linked. The stronger your emotions, the stronger the group becomes. Use it." The Dominion had concentrated their forces around their main processing center, a converted skyscraper where they tried to harvest human consciousness. They never expected humans to attack it directly. That was their first mistake of the day. "Now," Miller commanded. The Fury Squad moved as one. Their combined emotional energy created a visible storm of red lightning that shorted out every piece of alien technology it touched. Dominion soldiers fell, their armor cracking, their weapons turning against them. But the aliens had learned too. From the processing center emerged their new weapons, captured humans forced into modified alien armor, their minds partially processed. "Hold steady," Miller ordered as his forces wavered at the sight. "Remember who we're fighting for." Jack, leading the front line, was the first to notice something strange. The processed humans weren't attacking. Their armor sparked and crackled as human consciousness fought against alien control. "They're fighting it," he shouted. "Our rage is waking them up." Dr. Reed's voice filled their comms again, excited. "The emotional link goes both ways. Your anger is helping them break free. Push harder." The resistance fighters channeled everything they had: their rage at the invasion, their grief for lost loved ones, their determination to win back their world. The red storm intensified, and the processed humans began to scream. One by one, they ripped off their alien armor, their minds breaking free of Dominion control. The aliens hadn't just failed to process human consciousness. They had given their victims a direct link to their technology. The liberated humans turned on their captors with bare hands, their fury so intense it made the alien technology around them explode. The Dominion soldiers retreated into their processing center, but they were running from an avalanche of human emotion they couldn't stop. Miller led the charge into the building. Floor by floor, they cleared out the alien presence. In the central control room, they found something unexpected. A Dominion commander, larger than the others, its armor covered in pulsing blue lines. "You were meant to be cattle," it clicked in its mechanical voice. "How dare you resist?" "That's your problem," Miller replied. "You never understood what humans are capable of." The commander attacked, but it faced not just Miller's squad, but the combined emotional force of every human in and around the building. The alien's armor cracked, revealing the creature inside as it tried desperately to understand how its perfect plan had failed. As the last Dominion forces fell or fled, Dr. Reed arrived at the control center. Her eyes widened at the alien technology now responding to human commands. "Their entire neural network is ours," she said, scanning the systems. "We can use this to coordinate with other cities. Look, resistance cells worldwide are reporting the same thing. The processed humans are breaking free everywhere." Above them, the massive ship tried to flee, but its systems were too compromised by human emotion. It crashed into the ocean, its crew abandoned by their own empire. Miller stood at the window of the reclaimed building, watching as American flags began to appear on surrounding structures. All across the city, humans emerged from hiding, joining the celebration of the first major victory. "Send word to every resistance cell," he ordered. "We've proven they can be beaten. New York is just the beginning." The sun set on a changed city. Where alien blue had dominated, human red now pulsed through liberated technology. The Dominion had wanted to harvest humanity's essence. Instead, they had armed humanity with the perfect weapons, their own emotions. The tide of war had turned, and the aliens were about to learn that taking Earth was their greatest mistake. 3 months after New York's liberation, the war entered its final phase. In the reclaimed skyscraper command center, Commander Miller and Dr. Reed stood before a holographic display showing Earth and the remaining Dominion ships in orbit. 6 ships left, Miller said, his hand passing through the blue hologram. Their command ship and 5 defenders. Dr. Reed adjusted her display, showing streams of data from their captured alien technology. "We've decoded more of their communications. Want to know why they really chose Earth?" Before Miller could answer, Jack rushed into the room. Now wearing an advanced Fury suit with captain's markings, he looked nothing like the angry young survivor from the subway tunnels. "The global strike teams are ready," he reported. "Every major resistance cell is in position. We've even made contact with other alien species who want to help." Miller raised an eyebrow. "Other species?" Dr. Reed nodded, bringing up new images. "The Dominion has done this before. They travel from world to world, harvesting species they think are too peaceful to fight back. Earth was supposed to be an easy target. They thought our welcoming nature made us weak," Jack said, anger making the red lines in his suit pulse brightly. "But they've never failed before," Emma continued. "Our resistance has inspired their other victims. Look at this." The hologram showed alien ships approaching Earth, but these were different from the Dominion vessels. They moved erratically, their designs a mix of organic and mechanical, much like humanity's modified Fury suits. "Other enslaved species," Emma explained. "They've been watching us, learning from us. They're breaking free too." Miller's communication device buzzed. Tom's voice came through clear and urgent. "Sir, the Dominion command ship is moving. They're gathering their remaining forces for one final attack." "They're desperate," Miller said. "Good. Broadcast to all resistance cells. Operation Thunderstorm is go." Across the globe, humanity prepared for their greatest assault. In every major city, specially trained teams wearing advanced Fury suits took position. The suits had evolved, becoming more powerful as humans learned to better channel their emotions. The Dominion struck first, their remaining ships descending through the atmosphere like angry giants. But this time, Earth was ready. Now, Miller's command echoed through all resistance communications. Thousands of Fury suits activated simultaneously. The emotional energy was so intense it became visible from space, a red storm of human rage and determination encircling the planet. "Their shields are failing," Emma reported, watching her displays. "The combined emotional output is overwhelming their systems." The Dominion ships fought back, releasing waves of their soldiers. But each alien trooper that landed faced not just human weapons, but the full force of humanity's unified emotional strength. In New York, Miller led the charge personally. His suit's enhanced systems showed him similar battles taking place worldwide. Paris, Tokyo, London, Moscow, all fighting back with everything they had. The alien commander's voice boomed across all frequencies. "You were chosen because you welcomed us. Your peace should have been your weakness." Miller responded on the same channel. "You shouldn't have mistaken kindness for weakness. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our rage. It's our choice to be peaceful until you force us not to be." The battle raged for hours. The ships of former Dominion slaves joined the fight, their own modified technology adding to Earth's assault. One by one, the Dominion's remaining ships began to fall. Near the end, Dr. Reed made a startling discovery. "Commander, look at this. Their command ship, it's not just failing, it's transforming. Our emotions aren't just destroying their technology, they're changing it. We're rewriting their entire system." The massive command ship hung in the sky, its blue lights flickering between alien blue and human red. Inside, the Dominion forces fought a losing battle against the very technology they had created, now turned against them by human emotion. As the sun set on the battlefield, the last Dominion ship listed heavily to one side, its systems completely overrun by human-modified code. The aliens had wanted to harvest humanity's consciousness. Instead, humanity had rewritten their entire empire. Miller watched as former slave species landed on Earth, eager to learn from the humans who had done the impossible. The storm of battle was ending, but an even greater storm of change was about to sweep through the galaxy. The final battle for Earth was nearly won, but humanity's role in the universe was just beginning. The final battle for Earth began at sunrise. The Dominion command ship, last of their once mighty fleet, hung in the sky like a wounded giant. Its surface flickered between alien blue and human red as the two technologies fought for control. Commander Miller stood on the roof of the Resistance headquarters, his advanced Fury suit glowing bright red. Dr. Reed's voice came through his comm system. "All global teams report ready. The other liberated species are in position." "This ends today," Miller said, his voice carrying to every Resistance fighter worldwide. "Not just for Earth, but for every world they've enslaved." The Dominion's Supreme Commander appeared as a hologram above every major city. Its form shifted between organic and mechanical, showing how unstable their technology had become. "You dare to destroy what we've built across 1,000 worlds." Its voice boomed. "We are the Dominion. We bring order to chaos." Jack, standing beside Miller, couldn't help but laugh. "No," he said, "you bring chains to the free. And we've learned how to break them." Dr. Reed's newest invention hovered behind them, floating platforms equipped with emotional amplifiers. Across the globe, Resistance fighters took their positions on similar platforms, ready to take the battle to the sky. "Remember," Emma's voice filled their comms, "the enhanced suits are linked to each other and to every piece of technology we've converted. When I give the signal, channel everything you have." The Dominion struck first. Beams of blue energy shot from their command ship, but they met shields of red light. Humanity's emotional energy transformed into pure defensive power. "Now," Miller commanded. Thousands of Fury suit warriors rose into the sky on their platforms. The sight was magnificent, an army of red glowing humans ascending to meet their enemy. Among them flew ships from other liberated species, their technology now modified with human emotional interfaces. The battle that followed was unlike anything in Earth's history. The Dominion released everything they had: waves of processed soldiers, combat machines, energy weapons. But each attack met a wall of human emotion so powerful it turned the alien technology back on itself. Jack led the first wave of fighters directly into the command ship through a breach in its hull. Inside, they found processed beings from dozens of species, all beginning to wake up as humanity's emotional energy freed their minds. Their whole empire, Dr. Reed realized, watching through the fighters' cameras, it's built on suppressed emotions. Every species they conquered, they tried to make them cold and logical like themselves. Miller drove his platform deep into the heart of the command ship, followed by his elite squad. In the central chamber, they found the Supreme Commander, a massive creature more machine than organic, connected to thousands of neural interfaces. "You were supposed to be simple," it raged. "Your emotions were supposed to be your weakness." "You still don't understand," Miller replied. "We feel everything deeply. Love, hate, fear, hope. That's not our weakness. That's our strength." At Dr. Reed's signal, every human in every Fury suit channeled their emotions at once. The effect was beyond anything they had seen before. The command ship's entire neural network overloaded, centuries of suppressed feelings from countless species breaking free at once. The Supreme Commander screamed as its technology turned against it. The neural interfaces it used to control its empire became conduits for the emotional energy of every being it had ever tried to suppress. As the command ship systems failed, Miller gave one final order. All units, clear the ship. Let them feel the full force of the emotions they tried to steal. The Dominion command ship erupted in a display of light that could be seen from every corner of Earth. When the light faded, pieces of the ship fell like meteor showers, but they glowed red instead of blue, transformed by human emotion into something new. In the days that followed, representatives from dozens of liberated species came to Earth. They sought not just alliance, but guidance. Humanity had done more than defeat the Dominion. They had shown the galaxy a new way forward. Miller stood with Dr. Reed and Jack, watching ships from across the galaxy dock at the newly built space station above Earth. They wanted to harvest our emotions, Emma said, but instead, we taught the galaxy how to feel again. And now? Jack asked. Miller smiled, looking at the stars that no longer held any terror for humanity. Now we build something better. Not an empire of control, but an alliance of free peoples. And if any force ever threatens that freedom, he didn't need to finish. Everyone knew. Humanity's wrath had become a legend, but it was their capacity for both anger and compassion that would shape the future of the galaxy.